Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. 9 NBA Cup games here on Friday. Going to be running through the matchup data and the insights that you need to get your player props and your bets down here for those games on Friday. Not the best start to the season so far on Land Your Bets. Did have a good day here on Thursday. I'm going to run through the record from today and from yesterday because I didn't get a video out for the Thursday stuff yesterday. I want to go through that stuff. I'm revamping the process. So I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive than normal into what we've seen here for the last couple of days for my slate and my cards so that we can kind of get into what has been going wrong and what are the changes that I've made starting with today. That feeling like I've really started over a little bit today with some of the ways that I'm looking at things and it really worked out. So I'm going to get into some of that stuff here with you, but at the end is where you're going to find that deeper dive if you're interested. So check that out there. If that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into it. As always, going to be showing you guys the landyourbets.com Swish land model projections here. This is where we're going to be seeing, are we kind of in line here? Keep ourselves in check as we look at the props we want to bet on. Does the model agree with the minutes projections, the points, rebounds, assists, and the like? This is on landyourbets.com for those of you who do want to access that. And then Props Madness, also going to be using this to share my screen, show you guys exactly some of the matchup stuff that's really, there's nowhere else that you're going to find it in a more well laid out spot. And some of the data here is also data you're not going to find anywhere else. But LYB is the code if you're interested in jumping in. That'll get you 25% off your first month on the platform here. But first thing we got to look at here with this Nets and Magic game, we know Paolo's not going to be playing, right? He's out for at least this one. Things that stood out to me when you put Franz on court with Desmond Bane, but no Paolo, because we're going to see plenty of Franz and Desmond Bane, assuming this thing doesn't get out of control too quickly. It's a 15-point spread. So the very first disclaimer is likely blowout incoming. So temper your bets accordingly, right? But for Franz here, the thing that stood out to me is the rebounds. When he's been on court with Bane, without Paolo, he's at about 9 boards per 36 minutes. I don't think he sees 36 minutes because I don't think he has to. And he's been boarding up a ton in these last 3. So 6.5 is not the biggest edge here. I need this to be at 5.5. I thought it might open at 5.5, but obviously because he's hit 9 boards 3 times in a row, the market is saying, well, we're raising his prop line from the normal 5.5 where it should be to 6.5 because he's also basically averaging 6.5 on the season. I don't love it because I don't think he needs to play the minutes to get there. But if we get the 6.5, I don't love. But the 5.5, if we get that, even at like minus 130, I would play that because I do see that uptick in boards for Franz when he's playing without Paolo this season. And then for Bane, the interesting thing is if you put him on court, like I said, with Franz, but without Paolo this season, not a huge sample size, obviously, but we've got about 12 games with that being the scenario, about like 80 to 100 minutes of that scenario as well. Bane's at about 8 assists per 36 minutes. The dimes for him are at 5.5 even money. I do think that's actually a better edge than the one for Franz here. If you project him for 7, maybe even 8 assists, I think 7 is fair because if you consider the amount of time he's going to be playing in a likely blowout, it doesn't really need to eclipse 30 minutes, 31 minutes in that range. Don't need him to play 34, 35 minutes or 36, right? But I think, again, 8 assists per 36 for Bane is good enough to assume he's going to play 30, which is good enough to assume that he's good for 7 assists. The touches go up, the potentials go up for him without Paolo. So I do think this is the best look for him. And on the other side, like I would love to bet on 2 guys, Noah Clowney, and I'd like to bet on Jemin, to be honest with you. But I just don't trust this game to stay close. If you look at the game here against the Knicks, Jemin did great. Agor had the 6 shots, but that's not very much, right? 25 minutes, 6 shots in the blowout to the Knicks. Got the 10 points. The assists are another good thing, a good look consistently for him. 10 potentials and 3 dimes against the Knicks. Last game, I'm skipping over this last game because I see this as another likely blowout, similar to how that Knicks game got out of control real fast and ended as a 36-point blowout. So that led to guys like Jemin and Clowney not getting theirs, and they got blown out in part because those guys sucked, but they were playing good defenses. The Knicks, good defense, right? The Magic, good defense. So while I do think like the number here at 4.5 is beatable for Jemin against this Magic squad, I just don't like it enough to take it. Like I'm just too scared of the blowout here to feel comfortable betting on either of those guys for the Nets. And as I look at the model and see what it tells me about this Brooklyn team, I'm going to go to the team filter and just put in BKN, and then I'm going to filter the minutes so that I can see the guys expected to get the most minutes here. MPJ still expected to get the most minutes the way we're playing, but look at Noah Clowney, 26 minutes, 10.8 points. 4 boards. Like it's not there for him. The projection isn't there, in part because the spread is taken into consideration when we have these numbers coming out from the model. And when they see 15 points, a starter like Noah Clowney might not be in line for quite as many minutes, especially when he's only averaging about 26, 27 anyway right now. So I just don't think it's a good enough matchup for him. And then Demon is the same way. Demon, however you pronounce it, 8 points, 4 dimes. That's not quite enough for me to get over where he's at too. 7.5 points, not enough of an edge, essentially. And I do trust those numbers because I think it's accurately taking into consideration that Brooklyn's going to get their butt kicked in this game. When we look at the Heat and the Knicks, got to talk about how Jalen Brunson is not in for this game, right? So that is going to affect a lot of stuff here. I don't know what to do quite as much with the Knicks right now. I got to be honest. The way that the numbers are lining up here, this is a part of how I am making sure that I tweak my process to stay on top of things in the NBA is, yes, OG Anunoby probably going to do well without Jalen Brunson. Mikal Bridges probably going to be good for things like assists without Jalen Brunson. But this number is too high. We've got to play the number. We can't just look at a situation and go, this is a good situation for this guy, so blindly just bet the things that I like over. Because this number was chosen for a reason, and 17.5 is a high number for a guy who, even when Jalen Brunson's not on the floor, Mikal Bridges is at like 12 points per 36 minutes, right? There's not that much of a sample size without Jalen Brunson. So it's not like we really know who's going to do well. We'd be just taking a guess, a shot in the dark here against this Heat team that as fast as they play, like they're still good enough on defense to at least handle a team that's going to be a lot less dangerous on offense without Jalen Brunson. Don't like much there. And it's the same concept on the other side, like Norm at 23.5. Everything is inflated because we have the cup games and we know that the point differential matters. But this is a good moment in time, especially with this Knicks and Heat game to go, maybe, but I'm not going to just go out on a hope and a prayer that because teams are trying to score a lot of points into this game, that they're going to be successful. They're also trying to stop you from scoring, right? And last week in the cup games, we saw a bunch of unders actually cash, and the overs were not as good of a play, right? So I think that we got to keep looking at this through the lens of, is the number good, not just is the situation good, if that makes sense to you guys. So Philly and Detroit, let's move on to that one. Not much we can do with Detroit until we know about Duren and Cade, both questionable. So is Isaiah Stewart. Beef Stew is also questionable. And then Osar Thompson is out. Tobias Harris, Marcus Sasser, Jaden Ivey, all those dudes out for Detroit. The two guys are interesting. First of all, if Cade is in against this 76ers team with the backups that he's going to be playing with, I don't hate another triple-double for the dude. It's like 9-1 for him to get another triple-double, because I do think like the boards are a great steal here. 5.5, love that for him. Think he's going to come in and be able to do that pretty easily. And then the dimes here, the 9.5 is still really beatable against this Philly team, which is not very good on defense. They're really good on offense right now. They're like a top 5 offense. Their defensive rating is currently 19th, right? And so they're going to give up some stuff. They're going to give up some stuff down low. Drummond's not a very good rim protector. Like they're going to have their way. Cade will, especially if he's out there. So I'll be taking him to the moon if he plays. Looking on the other side of the ball, I think we got to go back to the Drummond look here against his former team in the last game against them a couple games ago without Embiid. Obviously, we know who's out for a while now. He had the 35 minutes. I think that the minutes are going to stay high for him. He played 33 against Boston as well. Got to continue to project him for high 30s. And if the double-double, it looks like it came up, okay, opened at plus 140. I'll still take that. It was about plus 180, plus 190 for him to get that against the Celtics. But the fact is that playing against the Pistons seems to have mattered. And if Duren is out there, then they're going to need someone to go up against him. If Duren's not out there, and it's B-ball Paul Reed that's going up as the center for the Pistons against Drummond, then yeah, I think I'm still going to take Drummond, especially on the boards in that case, where he's at 11.5, but I don't even know if I'm scared of that. I still think the double-double, probably the best look for Drummond. And on the other side, like I said, if Cade plays, it's Cade to the moon. But if he doesn't, the only thing I'll leave you guys with is if Cade does not play, Dennis Jenkins is getting minutes. And granted, like the last game he played here was without Cade, so he got the 40 minutes against Chicago, but he played 34 with Cade playing against the Wizards, right? And it was an easy game for sure. And it went to OT. And Dennis was still playing out there, right? Jenkins, a kid from St. John's, transfer from Iona, has looked really good in the minutes they've given him. And apparently they're in love with him in Detroit because he's getting big minutes right now without pretty much any other guards. And he's actually getting more minutes than Ron Holland, who I really thought was going to have a better game going up against Chicago. And I just still don't think that Biggerstaff really wants him out there. He's actually looking to give minutes to the rooks and to the young guys like Chaz Lanier as well. So keep that in mind for this Detroit team. I think the play here is going to be Dennis when we get numbers from him. And if Cade is out there, then yeah, I'll probably be betting him to do some pretty big things tomorrow. Quick reminder, Novig is the sportsbook exchange of the month here on LanderBets.com. It is a sportsbook exchange, like I said. So you don't bet against the sportsbooks. You bet against your peers. You can go ahead and set your own lines, have people bet against them, or you can go find people's lines that they're setting, bet against your peers instead of the books there. Sign up using code LYB, get all your bonus bets. And if you do want to get a free month of access to the projections as well as the bets that I'm putting down in the NBA right now, go ahead and email support@LanderBets.com. I'll go ahead and get you that free month of access once you let us know, hey, signed up for Novig using your code. Love to check everything out you have on the site. Moving down to the Lakers and the Pelicans real quick. Trey Murphy, still very disappointed in you, man. So I'm still staying away, even against the Lakers. This would be the game. I'll say this. This would be the game against the Lakers defense, currently ranked 23rd now after getting slapped by who they just get waxed by. I already forgot. Oh, OKC, obviously. They just got mauled by OKC 2 games after getting worked over by Atlanta. So, yeah, now it comes back to the Pellies, and you see they beat the Hornets by 10. They're probably going to beat the Pellies by a decent amount. They got a 10.5-point spread. But I do think with how bad this Lakers defense has been, especially up top right now, that you can still get some stuff for Trey Murphy. I just don't know if I want to bet him at 21.5. I think I'd need this number at like 19.5. And coming back to how hasn't been the strongest start to the season for us here on Lander Bets, I got to anchor myself to a strong bet, and 19.5 points is what I think is a fair bet to go over for Trey Murphy. 21.5 is just 2 points above that. Even if you think he's having a good game against a bad team, is he having 22 points worth of a good game? Because he's only done that 3 times this season. So let's be a little bit cautious and anchor ourselves to a strong number. And the number that I have for him in this situation should be 19.5. So I'm out. But I want a number for Derek Queen, if I can get it. And Derek Queen wasn't the most impressive guy to me in college. I'll be totally honest. Dog, this dude is not just a bucket, but he's like composed. He looks like a vet when he's out there. He's distributing. He's running the dribble handoff super well. How many assists did he end up with? Yeah, 4 against Portland on 8 potentials for a rookie center. That's impressive, dude. I did not think he was going to come in and be a playmaker of sorts, in addition to pulling down some boards. Mostly it's the points and assists that impressed me for him right now. And we don't have an offer because this number jumps out to you as an outlier because he played 38 minutes. He played 38 minutes because Yves Missy got kicked out for fighting with Jeremy Grant or whatever happened. And that was the reason that we ended up getting the more Derek Queen minutes. But Derek Queen's minutes have been on the rise anyway, right? He's been up at about 25 in the last 3. Missy only missed like 2 of these games, but he was still starting to get 25, 26 minutes. And I think like even with Missy now, it's kind of like, is this dude your future? Like, do you want to give him the burn here? Because you're not going to go anywhere. This season is done already. It's rebuild time. And it might be this dude that you should be rebuilding around the way that he's played in the last handful of games. If we get a number at like 10.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, even 1.5, 2.5 assists, might be looking for that for Derek Queen. They've run plenty of offense through him, and this kid's looking really, really good right now for NOP. Looking at the Rockets, finally playing a real comp here, going up against the Blazers after working over the Wizards. I still think Alperen Şengün, anything under 7 assists, and we got to go for it, right? Like, I think this is going to be a bet all season. 6.5 flat. The Blazers are a good defense. That's partly why you see this number depressed a little bit down at 6.5, where we've seen it as high as 7.5 already. 6.5 for -114. I don't know if it's going to be there by the time a lot of y'all are seeing this episode. So I understand that like 6.5 it's going to look better than what you have. But if it is 6.5, then it's basically just an auto play in a game that we know he's going to try. He's going to play big minutes. They're going to try to win by a lot. It is the Cup. I will say this number is okay for where we're at with the Cup. And if we project him for about 33, 34 minutes, and that might be conservative. Like he could get up to 35, between 35 and 40 in this one. If it's close and it's only an 8-point spread at home versus Portland, I trust Portland a lot to keep this thing close, even against one of the best teams in the league. I love the dimes for Alperen Şengün here on the over. And the other guy on this squad, like, look, Reed Shepherd's look for us versus Washington was, this is going to be a blowout. This dude's going to get some blowout minutes, but like he's been playing high 20s even in close games, right? They lost to the Spurs, played 26 minutes. They only beat Milwaukee by 7, played 29 minutes. Same thing. Well, he only played a few minutes against Memphis, but shot really well. And that kind of kick-started him into getting those minutes in the mid to high 20s. And there's no reason to think he can't still get those mid to high 20s minutes. He is the 3-point shooter for this team, right? Like Jabari Smith Jr., not really it from the 3-point line. And other than that, it's like KD, right? Who is not taking quite as many threes this season, I don't believe, as well. I think, yeah, like 2 for 2 1 for 2, 2 for 8. Like he's taking like 4 per game. So they need Reed out there is the point. And I think anything up to about 11.5 is still a good play for him. The threes, even 2.5, it's like, yeah, plus 158 is a nice number. But man, I mean, 1.5 for even minus 143 on the threes in these last 4 games, looking at 8 attempts, 6 attempts, 7 and 4. And like, honestly, to make 2 out of 5 is the average, almost 6 that he's taking. I'm fine with even at minus 140 for that number there. Don't have much for Portland, although I will say we might get a good number on Drew assists. Let's see what it opened at because I didn't see yet. 6.5 is beatable. I mean, the Rockets are a really, really good team limiting assists, obviously, but this is like 2 below what his average is on the season here at 6.5. Obviously, you need the 7, so we'll say 1 below whatever his season average is. Gone over this number really consistently. As good as Houston is, they're on 13th limiting assists. They've been better in the past. I'm actually not scared about the dimes here for Drew, who 19 versus the Pellies, 11 versus a really good defense like the Magic, 20 in a fast-paced game against the Heat. Yeah, I do like Drew again on the assist here in this one. And if I was looking at an under, it'd probably be Shaedon Sharpe at some point. They keep this down at 19.5. I can't believe this is not 20.5 after dude went for 35, 31, and 21 and 3 straight right here, right? And 23, just 4 of the last 5. He's been really good. Only real under was against the Thunder here. Obviously, best defense in the league, only playing 23 minutes. Yeah, I think like Shaedon Sharpe, this should be higher and I'd be going under. But at 19.5, I don't think I can really go under. Just wanted to make that mention that like, I think it's impressive that the market is better. It's stronger than I've given it credit for in the past because I thought this number would already be at 20, 21.5. And it's not. It's at 19.5 because people are keeping it down intelligently so. But let me go back down to the Clippers here. I got a couple other things I want to look at in that game. Definitely go ahead and give the video a like if you're getting anything out of what we're doing here. Much appreciated for everybody tuning in, dropping some really nice comments there. Apologies for missing a video yesterday. It was a weird slate in Thursday, but as always, if you want every single bet that I'm making, you can jump on to landyourbets.com and get it, even a free trial or whatever you want. But let's get into that Mavs and Clippers game. I don't really want to talk about the Mavs very much at all, man. PJ is questionable. Derek Lively is questionable. Anthony Davis is questionable. So there's not much there. But if those guys play, John Collins has been awful, especially since he came into the starting lineup here. And this is 20.5 on FanDuel. This is 22.5 on DraftKings. I love that under for the points and rebounds against the Mavericks, who, as bad as the Mavericks are this season, and they're bad, they're historically bad on offense. They're not bad on defense. They're 8th in defensive rating on the season. They have not been good down low because they haven't had their bigs down low, but they're good everywhere else, like Najee, Max Christie. Who else we work with? Obviously, PJ, even Cooper Flag. Like, this team has weapons to defend you on the wing big time. And if AD and or Lively and or PJ, hopefully, but definitely AD and Lively, if those dudes can at least be healthy finally, then that paint defense will get better as well. It just seems too tough for John Collins, who has been awful. He hasn't been getting minutes, even in the starting lineup. 21 minutes, 31 was his biggest output of minutes against the Hawks on the season. His former team still couldn't do much with it. 11 shots. Anybody like myself who thought that John Collins alongside James Harden was going to be awesome, it has not been. And I feel like it's in part because Ty Lue doesn't like John Collins. I don't know what it is. If we asked Ty Lue, he'd probably be like, well, he doesn't hedge hard enough or some crap like that coaches always be saying. But either way, he's not getting the run. Even in the starting lineup, it's a big reason why this is staying as high as 22.5, despite the fact that he's at 16.9, nice, points and rebounds on the season. And he's still at 22.5 against a defense that I respect. Yeah, I'm going to have to go under on John Collins in this one for the game against the Mavs. All right, I want to take 1 sec for those of you who are interested in seeing sort of how the process has gone so far for me on the NBA season and how it's going to start going now that I've started to make some changes. There's a couple things here. This is batch 1 from Wednesday. This is batch 2 from Wednesday. On Wednesday, I have the final tally here. It was bad. It was really bad. It was 4 and 12 minus 5 units. Not good, right? That was the combo of this batch right here from Wednesday and this batch. These are both from Wednesday. Awful. All that stuff came up on the big slate here. But I have some reasoning for a good amount of it, and I want to bring that up real quick. So let me get to my notes right here and start with Con Knippel. Was a perfect example of what I mean by play the number. This is the lesson here. Dude was on a tear, right? If we pull him back up on Props Madness here, we'll pull up how he's been doing. Again, it was without LaMelo Ball, so we have to keep that in mind. But look at all these overs on look at all this green, whatever, 24, 20, 30, 19 points. That was a 4-game heater. And the boards in that time frame was a heater as well. He still has 6 like every game, and they're still disrespecting him with a 5.5 total here on the boards. But the key is like this heater right here. During this heater, he was shooting not very often, right? He didn't get very many rebound chances. He didn't get very many potential assists. So even when he's scoring 17 shots, 16 shots, 23 against the Heat in that fast-paced game for sure, without LaMelo, without Colin Sexton as well, right? So guys were missing, and he only shot 11 times against the Lakers, and then in this game against the Bucks, he shoots 13 times. It's not a high volume of shots, and he was getting assists without getting very many potential assists. My point here is when this number yesterday got to 25.5 points and rebounds for Con, it's like, this is too much now, man. Even if you put him at 33, 34 minutes, you need to realize that this number is too high, and that for a guy who hasn't been taking enough shots to warrant this number being that high, you just got to stay away. You just got to stay away, as much as that might hurt, because you've been riding this heater with Con Knippel. Just wasn't really worth it in that spot to me. So that's one thing, is like, play the number. Don't just play that Con Knippel has been hot over the last 3 or 4 games. What's the number now? Because the market's going to catch up and tell you, well, now it's going to be way higher, and you have to pay a premium. And it wasn't worth the premium yesterday. Some of the other bets, I'm not mad about Io. I don't know why he had 8 points in like 7 minutes in the first half, and then just didn't play much at the rest of the game. Don't know what was up with Billy Donovan on that one. We'll try to figure it out, but sometimes that's just one of those where you win some, you lose some. Diabate was a good look. He was close to the double-double. He did cash the boards. Cole Anthony was not a good look. And I think we just got to believe what Ryan Rollins is telling us, which is he's good. And he's going to be the guy that takes on the usage when Giannis is not around. And we got to believe him. Jalen Suggs is another example. His number had been steadily rising, and it finally rose like to 20.5 PRA in that game that Powell ended up leaving with the injury, right? That was silly. The number was too high. I had the projection for him, but I just couldn't stay away, because it's like, man, this dude's been doing so well. He's been cashing for us. I feel comfortable betting on him, but the number was too high. So like, that's really the first biggest lesson here, as I've really had to dive deeply into each bet, not just these last 2 days of bets, but like the bets over the last like week or so, right? First of all, is the number too high? Anchor yourself to a number. Second of all, it's a bit of a cop-out to say, oh, well, the lines have gotten sharper, so now it's tougher. But specifically, the way that I've been making money and did really well last year, especially the first 3 months of the NBA, making 60 units in the first 3 months. The way I did that was I was hitting my spots with who is in, who is out. And when a guy is out, taking advantage of knowing who is going to come up and step up and take that the usage from that guy, who's going to score more points now, who's going to get more rebounds and get more minutes. That was something I was doing really, really well last year. But this year, the books are really the books or the market. People are coming in. Other people are looking for that same edge. It's not my edge anymore. It's everybody's edge. There's a lot of people coming in and waiting for that exact thing without player stuff, and then betting on guys who are coming off the bench to start when a guy is missing in a game or something of that nature, right? That's not there anymore. Like Jaime Jaquez is an example of that. He went up to 12.5 RA after being at about 9, 10.5 for like multiple games in a row. Then he has a couple big games, and then it flies out of our out of the range for where we can take Jaime Jaquez on the RA. So right now for this game, goes back down to 11.5, right? Because after 17, 19, and 20 in this last game against the Cavs, it was 12.5. That's too high, right? It's not something he's averaging. The 11.5 here, closer, feels better, but it's still a matchup against a good defense that's 6th in limiting rebounds. They are, I believe, not bad. They're not great limiting assists overall, but the defensive rating is still in the top 5 for the Knicks on the season right now. So it's not a team that you want to like go up against and take a ton of props. So I'd rather have 10.5 if I could get that. Like, I don't think 11.5 is enough of an edge for what the projection for it should be for Jaime Jaquez. And even though I love Jaime and he's cashed us a bunch, if this number is not where I need it to be, then I gotta stay away. So that means the volume is going to go down a bit for myself, but the win percentage is going to go up, and the amount of unders that I'm going to bet is probably also going to go up, because if I'm noticing that the books are taking into account, oh, this Bam's not in, so we really got to raise Jaime Jaquez props up. Well, okay, that's good, but the books took it into consideration now. So that means that just because I love it, other people have already noticed it, and it ain't sexy anymore. It's not unique. So that's just the sort of the sort of temperament that I want to start to use. I don't want to worry about FOMO. Oh, I didn't bet on this guy to go off, and everybody said he was going to go off. Yeah, but his props were too high. So even though he went off and you guys cashed some bets, you didn't get the best value out of that. And doing that over time, that's called EV betting. So thanks for listening to my rant. I hope some of this helped. I'm happy to answer any questions about the process, about what I mean by play the number. When we, if you jump in the comments and let me know, happy to answer all that stuff for you. I'm going to be back here for you guys on Friday. Going to have everything you need. I don't know that I'm going to be able to go live because I still got to do NFL for the weekend, and that takes plenty of time. But like I said, if you want to check everything out up on landyourbets.com, that's where you'll have the projections and all that good stuff. So best of luck to everybody here on Friday. Till I do see you next, happy betting.